And we're going to try this.
It's supposed to be up higher.
I don't know if it's going to work. That.
Yeah,
like that.
At least be able to see my hair.
Can't look at it. But all right. Here we are with Mercy and the Manz on the way to a show, not a show we're playing, but a show I'm very excited to see. We're on our way to Thunder Valley Casino to see the band Jump. They're a tribute to Van Halen. I've been dying for them to come to the West Coast. They're finally here, and I bought tickets so fast, and Kyle said he'd go with me because he loves Van Halen. And also, I don't think I'd go without him anyway. And yeah, it's been a minute. We have some stuff to debrief, and we're back. Intro, all that stuff. All right. So we don't usually do it this way. We don't love doing it in the car because I don't like Kyle to feel distracted, but he's good at not looking at the camera, and he's one of the best drivers you'll ever meet.
Don't jinx me.
That is no lie. But we've officially kicked off the summer concert series season, and that's been really super fun. And we talk a little bit about that, what's coming up, what's going on in the industry, all that good stuff. And I feel like this is one of the first times in a while that I'm not going to feel very ranty, because one of the reasons I wanted to do this episode, no matter what, no matter if we had to do it in the car, is because I didn't want to lose the good vibes that we felt, because we came off our last gig feeling so good and so up and inspired and ready to take everything on, that it felt like such a change from our usual ranting. It's like, people need to see that we actually enjoy this and have fun, and that there's this other side of it, but I just don't feel like we've kind of like been there.
Say that now, something will come up and we'll get going.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, we wouldn't be us. We like to be very honest, transparent, kind, and generous, but we do like to be honest and transparent, and give you the real behind the scenes, the real of like what goes on, what's in your mind of what's going on in gigs and everything. But I mean, the first one actually to start off the weekend is kind of a little ranty, but I'll still keep positive because we ended on a positive note. We had a gig on Friday. Let me also just start with, we just got back from New York. We were there for 4 days. We took our kiddo. I at first was saying it was all my sister's fault that we went to New York on this trip. And now I can say thanks to my sister we went on this trip, because it was great. It was amazing. We lucked out that we weren't booked on anything.
Kind of nailed it.
We absolutely nailed it. 10 out of 10. Kyle and I have always traveled really well together. We were a little worried because we've never done a trip like this with our kiddo. She's 11. 10 out of 10. It was great. We hit everything. We took her to see Wicked. We went and did all sightseeing. We walked so much. We did all public transportation. We did the train and the subway, all with our bags, which was not the most fun, but we did it. We accomplished so much. But that being said, we don't have a lot of downtime, especially when you're running a band and we're doing it together. We're still taking emails and texts while we're on the trip. We have a very, very hard time of putting our phones down and protecting time in that regard. When you run a business, any kind of business, it doesn't have to be only in the entertainment business. If you run your own business, you are kind of tethered to your phone and your computer, your email.
Yeah, it's been a hard boundary to set to clock in and clock out, so to speak. Like, emails come in or things come up, or you are dealing with other stuff during the day, or you're procrastinating like I do, and then you find yourself working at like 7:30 at night, when really you should be clocking in at 9:30 or 10 o'clock or something, working until whatever time and then stopping.
It's
But
still,
it just doesn't work that way.
It's just never ending though. And we get emails and texts at all hours of the day too. And you think about it, especially people that are contacting us for their weddings, they're not generally doing that during work hours. They're doing it on the evenings or in the early mornings. And there's a lot of like time change differences too. Lately, a lot of our clients are living in other areas in the country. And so coordinating Zoom meetings or phone calls has been a challenge. But we did all that. But we hit the ground running. And I was just talking to a friend and saying it feels like every minute the last week has been accounted for. And then add to the mix, our kiddo just started softball. That's very, very new for this family of musicians. He has experience being on teams and organized sports. I have zero. Anything I did do sports related was individual sports, but I was always a musician first, and that always fell by the wayside if it interfered with singing or gigs or anything like that. But our kiddo is on an organized team. She made travel team, very new. I feel in some ways it has been a blessing, even though it has been very hard and it's been taking some getting used to. I've realized I haven't been as good about posting social media, so I have to work a little better to find the work-life balance in that regard. But the blessing has been that it's carved out family time, I feel, in that we're both at practices. We're practicing on days that she doesn't have practices, and we're working with her. She's really gung-ho and wants to get time in and reps in. And so that's been forcing us out, I think. And I have liked it for that. But it's just, the struggle is real. Struggle is real. It's hard. It's hard. But that being said, I think I said that several times already. We went right into rehearsals. We got a project that we haven't announced yet that we're working on. So I can't wait to share that with you soon. But again, we had a rehearsal, and how long has that taken to coordinate to get everybody in a room for the first rehearsal?
That's my least favorite part of doing anything, is trying to coordinate people's schedules. Because you try to be respectful of everybody's commitments. You don't want anybody to be stretched thin, or anybody to be asked to give up, teaching hours or family time or whatever. But inevitably somebody has to compromise, and it's just not a lot of fun. The bigger the band, that's why Mercy, we're lucky we don't have to rehearse. I know other bands that do, and we just don't, partly because I don't really feel like we need to, but also just because it's just like I don't have the bandwidth to be trying to wrangle that many people's schedules on an ongoing basis. Even this new project, it's complicated musically, but ultimately the songbook probably won't change much, or the set list won't change much. So it's like, once it's learned, it's really just maintaining. And so I don't feel like we'll have to do like a ton of rehearsing.
Right. But yeah, that's the hardest thing I think of starting any project is I would love to have the capital to be able to pay for rehearsals, but that's just not the way it goes most times. Unless you're backing up you're an individual artist, you're a singer-songwriter, unless you have an agreement, you should be paying for rehearsals. Rehearsals should be paid and compensated. But when you're building something and everybody's bought in and everybody's understands and knows, like, we just have to build this and everything, there's no paid rehearsals. But then that means that you are at the mercy of everybody's schedule, and trying to schedule 6 individual adults into one room. Yeah. I think it's taken like 5 months to coordinate. And then, like I said, we hit the ground running. We got home from New York. A side job I have is that I am a motion capture, what would you call it? Art, motion caption actor. I do motion capture.
She wears the suit with the little balls on it.
Yeah, but the hat and everything, the shoes. And I am on. I'm background for the NBA 2K games. So I had to do. I got home from New York, did that all day on a Tuesday, and then went straight to rehearsals. So I had a 15-hour day that day, and then just back to everything that following week. I can't even believe it feels like New York was already months ago, and it was just a week ago.
Yeah, and I have to keep remembering that when I feel so pressed for time. And truly, I mean, I'm not saying I optimize my time, because I've procrastinated a lot lately, but I'm also ADHD. I'm sure I've mentioned that about 25 times since we started this podcast. But at the same time, it's
diagnosed.
Like,
Not just self-diagnosed.
Yeah, well, it was self-diagnosed, and then it was officially diagnosed. But at the same time, you come back from a trip like that, and you got all these gigs and everything. It's like it's hard to do much. It's hard to do much more than the bare minimum for a while you try to recover.
Right.
We're at the finish line of middle school. She's going to be going into middle school. We're at the finish line of the school year with Roxy ending her elementary school career. And on the one hand, softball is going to take up a ton of our summer, but we won't be up at 7 a.m. to take her to school every day either. So there will be a little bit of
Although there has been a shift for me, aside from one day this week, I have gotten out of the habit of going back to bed after dropping her off at school. That's helped a little bit, but it still just feels like it doesn't make a dent in like a lot of the work that we do. I also am feeling a little uninspired with content right now. I'm just feeling like everything feels the same. But I know once we get going, and it's starting, like I said, this weekend kind of started that. I'll feel back into that kind of routine. It just feels like it's been a long time since we've had public shows to talk about and pimp and everything like that. I don't know. Am I allowed to say the word pimp? But yeah,
it's gonna get us canceled.
Yeah. It's been, for all our five viewers. So it's been really crazy, but we got into, then we had a gig on Friday, and that was in San Carlos, their hometown days. It was our second year playing it, and I'm having a hard time talking about work-life balance. I'm having a hard time coming to terms that I'll miss a lot of Roxy's Saturday games, because we were booked every Saturday from here on out for a while, every weekend.
We're booked a lot of Fridays and Sundays too, to be fair.
Yeah. And so immediate mom guilt, immediate FOMO. I also don't want to miss out, but like the mom guilt that I get around being a working musician, which I know parents have guilt no matter what industry, once again, but this is when I start really getting down on myself and be like, is it selfish of me to have this life, to have this lifestyle when it comes at the cost of missing out, not being there and being present? I do try to give myself grace because I am at all the practices. I am there for 90% of school pickups and drop-offs, and I handle so much stuff. I'm room mom. I'm just finished
You've given a lot of unpaid hours to Roxy's school.
But I think a lot of times this is where, and nobody's made me feel this way. Nobody has said anything to me, but it definitely comes up for me where, especially the area we're in, that it just feels, I judge myself. It's not even anybody else. So it's my thing that comes up for me. But, and I'll say all of that about hometown days because it wasn't one of our better gigs. And it was kind of like, if this is how it's going to be, if I'm going to miss my kiddos' games for gigs like this,
Yeah. Well,
it's gonna be, I'm not gonna be a good person to be around. I'm not gonna be happy. It's going to be even more heartbreaking because it's not gonna feel worth it. And no disrespect to San Carlos hometown day. It was just like will you explain?
well, I mean, we're also, I mean, just like last year, we're also going to play the San Carlos concert series, which is a different vibe. I was talking to somebody about it. I was just talking to the sound crew about it. Feels like it's like a conditioning thing, like an audience that shows up to the San Carlos City concert series is expecting to go see a band, and they get there and they pack the park and they dance and whatever. And there are some people that danced at the hometown days too, but hometown days is more of a kind of a sprawling festival feel. And we've always played the Friday because Saturdays for us are generally high value, monetarily. I'm not saying I'm not making a value judgment about the gigs we do on any given day, but also when we played the City Concert Series, other than Morgan Hill, where there's an opening band, which I have feelings about that. It relates to what I'm going to say about hometown days, which is when we play the City Concert Series, we're the only band. That means we show up, we set up, we sound check, and that's it.
Aside from one gig that we do, which is the Morgan Hill concert series, but we know ahead of time.
Yeah, but last year was the first year we played that, and I didn't have it was a great show. Yes. And we're stoked to be back this year, but the experience of setup and soundcheck and all that was not cool and not fun. And it's because a band like us, so they didn't do this last year. Last year there was a band on, and then there was an hour between, which is still tight. It's tight to get up on stage, get your gear set up. They got to mic everything, run all the lines, get your in-ear mix or your monitor mix going, get their front of house like kind of dialed in, and then go. And this is all happening when people are like in the festival. So it's an awkward kind of weird vibe. But this year, Hometown Days also put a kids like theater performance in between the band before us and our start time, and we didn't know that. It's not questions I ask when we book gigs. I don't go like, well, what's the changeover time going to be, or who else is playing? It's just not a question you generally ask. But I was already feeling crunched for time because the band before us, they started a little late, so they decided they would just go over their allotted time because that's what they decided to do, I guess. Not really how it's supposed to work, but
the band that played before us is a band that doesn't get to play very often.
Yeah, they're not pros, and I understand and respect that. We had to gently ask their drummer to not break down his drum kit on stage, and the rest of the band to not be like coiling all of their cables, and it was the biggest performance of the year for them probably, and they were gonna bask in it, and it was like, yeah, cool, we're on in an hour, so we need you to vacate the stage, vacate the premises.
Yeah.
Your drums go in cases just as well on the side of the stage as they do in the middle of the stage.
Yes.
But there was a kid's performance we didn't know, and I actually, for a short time, offended one of the parents of the parent volunteers of the kids' performance because the sound crew and the city was trying to tell us, like, well, you can set up like part of your gear while they're performing. And I asked how much space the performance was going to take up, and the parent volunteer marked off three quarters of the stage. And I just kind of was like, laughed, and then she took offense. And I cleared it up because I was like, look, has nothing to do with you guys. I do not want you to short your kids.
Also,
or like, I don't want your performance to change or you to short your kids or whatever.
But also but speaking to that point, if my kid was on stage, whether it was my kid or the kids that I teach, I wouldn't want adults breaking down or setting up equipment behind them while they're trying to perform.
That's disrespectful.
So that was the thing. It wasn't even about that you were like, ugh, it was like, we can't do that. These are kids that have never really performed before, probably. It's the first time some of them have ever been on a stage, and you want to shortchange them by having a band changeover behind them while they're trying to perform their choreography or their song.
Right.
That just totally sets them up for failure. And I told our guys, like, no, we're going to hold off until they're done. We can't do that to them. They're little kids.
Yeah.
They were little kids.
Well, so I guess the city was assuming we could do a changeover in 30 minutes, which we didn't even get 30 minutes because by the time we got the stage, it was 5:40. We were supposed to start at 6.
Yep.
And the city contact, they're nice. They're nice people. But they were like, hey, is it okay if you guys start a little late and go and maybe just go a little late? And I was like, well, there's no way we're starting on time. So
Yeah.
I guess that's what we're going to do.
You're like, sure, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, but I mean, and to be fair, I had to tease the sound crew wasn't our sound crew. Oh shoot, I just hit the microphone.
You're good.
Sorry about that, audience. The sound crew is not our sound crew. It was For Audio, who are friends of ours, and we work with quite a bit. And and I wanted to talk about this later when we're talking about these gigs, but we've developed a relationship with them. They do right by us. They take care of us. We always sound great when they mix us. Which is awesome because it is a little bit of a stress for us doing events without our sound crew because they are a security blanket for us. Everything's consistent. The band, our sound crew knows us. We walk in, everything's set up. Our ear mix is already dialed pretty much. So we're starting from zero a lot when we work with outside sound companies, and it's just, for us, it's a stressful thing, or can be anyway. But I guess Thomas told the city that he could do a changeover in 30 minutes, but it wasn't ideal. And I was like, yeah, if we're on the gig, tell them that we can't. If the 30 minutes doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a festival, a similar kind of festival thing in Livermore for a couple of years, which again, super nice people. And we were, happy to be involved and invited. But it was a 30-minute changeover between bands. They had one sound engineer at the stage and not enough gear to even really do what they needed to do for us. And so we started turning it down. Because it just was like, this is not...
That, and also, I mean, again, not to get ranty, but I got some beef with y'all that, if you're in a band and y'all are sharing a stage and everything, there's etiquette. And I have been grossly flabbergasted by the way that bands have treated the breaking down or the changeover time.
Well,
I have been just floored by the attitudes of some people in the bands, of how they don't care that another band's coming up. They're not respectful. They, like you start breaking down and putting things in cases. It's like, no, you just move your stuff. And if you don't know that, learn how to do that. Learn and ask, oh, I see that there's going to be all these bands on the same stage. What can we do to help to move things along quickly? What can we do to help with the changeovers? I feel like a lot of the people that played before us on a lot of these gigs get so high and mighty and are bothered that they're not the closing band, that they take their sweet time and don't want to be rushed. So that's been part of it on some of those other gigs.
Yeah, I think there's a mix of like you said, the band before us. I wasn't mad at the band before us and Hometown Days because
they were just inexperienced.
And that's why, when we did approach the drummer, who I probably, I'm just guessing, does not play very many shows. I was like, hey, this is going to take too long this way. We need to do it this way. He was cool and whatever. But yeah, we have definitely had some other bands that it's it is more what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And it's again, I'm not trying to big league anybody, but we're standing there, we're this is one of 3 or 4 gigs we have this week,
right.
And we're just trying to get on and do what we're, literally hired and paid to do. And this isn't, yeah. Right. But I run into it. I mean, I run into it when I play drums behind artists, and if I'm playing at bottom of the hill, places like that, if we're not sharing gear, or sometimes even if we are, and it's just the pace of changeover. It's
yeah.
I'm sure you enjoyed your setup and your sound check or whatever. Like, I would like to also benefit from that, you know?
Right. Don't worry. Everybody's going to recognize you when you get off the stage.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to know that you were the one playing. Like, get off the stage. Make room for the next band so that they have as much time as possible. And again, like, no shade to even the folks that were on before. Like, we didn't get a sound check at all. Zero sound check. It was freaking windy, and it was kind of windy all over the Bay Area last weekend, but it gets really windy in San Carlos, and it wasn't even as bad as it had been the previous year, but it was super windy, super cold, but zero sound check. And the gig was great. Like, I thought the band played well. We were a little tentative on a couple things because we've been adding some new songs, and I feel like, you know, once we play, well, I'll get to that, but like, you know, the first couple times you play new songs, you can kind of like feel the kind of like, here we go, you know, kind of thing. You're not total settled in yet. And we especially were not settled in, not having had a sound check. We were like trying to dial in ears for the first, when I say ears, our in-ear monitor mixes, we were trying to dial those in for the first 2-3 songs. And figuring that pretty much the first song was going to be like sound check to a certain extent. He was handling levels out in the crowd. But it's just one of those gigs, like Kyle was saying, it's not known as a music event. So
people set up chairs and they hang out,
but so far away.
Yeah. It's a listening gig, and that's fine. But for us as a dance band, you know, you're not getting that immediate. Some people were dancing. I mean, they weren't stone faced. You know, they didn't look bored. It's just there was literally probably 50 yards between us and the next closest human being, and that feels big.
Yes.
At least like compared to what we're used to.
I've gotten better. I mean, again, I have many more decades as a front person than Kyle does. My perspective is, as long as no one's leaving, I have to just adjust that, people are here because how many times have we been told that people forgot to dance because they were so engrossed in us that they didn't want to dance because they really enjoyed watching us. And like, we get a lot of that feedback. I do know that sometimes people like to watch us and like people like to sit and observe. Not everybody is a dancer. So I don't get so upset about people if they're not dancing, especially at those kind of events. If it's a wedding, that feels really weird because then you're like they are closer, and if they're just sitting at tables around you,
weddings, corporates are a little tougher because you're fighting the like company culture. Like, some people don't want to express themselves around coworkers or whatever. But weddings, if you get a dud wedding, that can really. I need to have therapy that week.
Yeah.
Usually, if
we've had one, which I can't remember.
We've had a couple. But the ones that we've had that were like that going in, I was like, I got a feeling that this is gonna be like that.
But the gig was good. But I did come off that gig going like, if this is gonna set the tone, I'm gonna be miserable missing my kiddos' games. Like, this is not why I do this. Like, and people, again, were complimentary. We have some super fans, and when we call people super fans, those are people that you're going to see at like 90% of the public gigs. They're gonna be there. They come, they show up, they take a lot of footage, they take a lot of pictures, and I love our super fans. And so we had several super fans that showed up, and so it was nice to see them. And again, like, Kyle and I are big people in regards to this, is no matter what the gig or the size, you show up and you do your best ability. You don't treat it like it's beneath you. You don't roll your eyes. You don't.
No, because we took the gig. So
we took the gig, but also you never know who's going to be there. You never know who's there scoping you out for their event, for their corporate event, for their private event, for their wedding. You just don't know. Also, again, I have enough of an ego that I'm not going to give you a chance to see me not do my best, because why? That doesn't serve me. That does not serve me at all. If people repost a picture or a photo of me and I just look like I'm a bump on the log, that's no good. Also, that's no fun. It's just not fun.
We also set the tone for the band too, though. Like, how could I expect my band to be like locked in and giving, the level of effort and focus and everything that they should be giving if they're literally, because they're behind us most of the time, or at least most of them. If they're literally sitting there watching us phone it in, then why would, I know if I was on drums and somebody in the band leader, singers, or whoever was phoning it in, I would be like, okay, I guess I don't have to work that hard today,
Right, the dominoes just start falling. I just,
because conversely, as the singer and front person, as a drummer, I never want to let my artist or my band down as far as just being a consistent driving force for them. But then as a front person and a singer, if I feel like I'm being let down by my band, that's a legitimate grievance that I will bring up or that I will handle. But I can't do that if I feel like, well, I wasn't great,
Well, it's interesting. I haven't listened to all of it yet. We started listening to the Green Room music podcast.
Green Room.
And that's
Can I have some more ice?
That's with Jeff Subaru
You're
and
not in the band. You can't get in.
Bray Granari. Jeff plays in Tainted Love. He also plays with Enrique Iglesias. Bray.
Well, you got to do it like Kieran Gribben would do it. Our buddy kid plays with a little artist you might know called Enrique Iglesias, and another little artist you might know, Gwen Stefani. Now he's going to be like, and another little band you might know, Five for Fighting. I don't know if he's going to do it like that. That's kind of almost racist to me. But he's extremely Irish, but also sort of Australian, so it's a kind of a thing.
Yeah, and then Bray has Neon Velvet, Bray has Bray and the Dens, and also New Moon Monday.
New Moon on Monday. Yeah.
And
they might not Google the right thing.
They have a podcast called the Green Room Music Podcast, and something that they just said, which reminded me when you were talking about fronting the band or phoning it in and everything. I caught a little clip, and they were talking about this was in regards to subbing, that no matter the gig you take, if you're subbing, if it's $100 gig, if it's $1,000 gigs, you should approach it the same way. And they were both saying that they want to impress the other people in the band. If they come into another band situation, they're performing for the other band members. And it's so true. I still find myself performing for my band, which is a good thing, right? Because I still want my band to be impressed by me. I still want my band to be proud to be in a band with me. So I never want them to feel let down, and I never want them to feel like, what the heck am I doing here? But I was kind of laughing because when I heard that, I you know this more than anybody, I perform for the sound guys.
Well, and
if there's sound people, and I still very much perform for our sound guys. Our sound guys are notorious for not giving compliments or praise, and I crave it so badly that I think that their withholding has been making me chase them to a certain extent. I don't think they know that they're withholding.
Sorry, phone call. Spam, in case you were curious.
But anytime we're at an event where it's different sound people, all I care is about what the sound. But did the engineer say anything about me? Did he say that I was a good singer? Did he say anything about my tone? Did he say anything about my pitch? What did you hear anything? Not 100%. 100%. I'm performing for the sound people at the back.
Well, and that's what I kind of alluded to earlier that I wanted to touch on. But I mean, even on the first gig, though, it's the same sound company, two different sound engineers, but the same sound company on both our Friday and Saturday gigs. And even though it was a stressful changeover and all that kind of stuff, our sound guy on the first gig, Thomas Hafner, did such a good job for us and got us dialed and got us comfortable. And the videos we saw from out front, we sounded great.
Yep.
You know, and those guys always go above and beyond for us because we've developed this relationship with them over the years, both predating our this band, but especially in this band, because we treat them with respect and reverence, because we do respect them and we do appreciate what they do for us, but also because we try our best to give them a product that is fun to mix and fun to work on, and that's the feedback that we've gotten from them. So a lot of my stress where I'm like, I feel like we're not going to get a sound check or really get much of a sound check. I'm like, yeah, but by song 2 or 3, he's going to have it dialed, or she, whoever. They do have female sound engineers that work for Thor Audio, but like my stress goes away because I'm like, I know these guys enjoy mixing us and enjoy working with us, and they're gonna put a lot of effort into making sure that we look and sound good. So that's all I wanted to really touch on with that, is that your philosophy of, like, if nothing else, like performing for the sound guys, like it has downstream effects, you know?
Right. Well, you think, I mean, they're working with like all the bands in the Bay Area and beyond, and you just, like, you know, they've heard it all, they've seen it all, and I want, you know, I want to be special. Did they say anything? Did they like me? Did they like me? I wish I didn't care so much. But
I care.
But also,
who doesn't want to get positive feedback, you know? And especially sound guys, like you said, they mix so many bands, especially these companies like Thor Audio, who have a lot of contracts around the Bay Area for city concerts, for festivals, that kind of stuff. They're mixing a lot of bands, a lot of different styles, a lot of different situations, and sound guys don't have to give. I don't use the word sound guys; it's gender fluid, but they don't have to give
sound folks.
They don't have to give compliments. They could just say nothing.
Case in point, our own band,
well,
or our own sound crew, their favorite thing is it was a gig. You did it. You got through it. I'm like, they're just never gonna do it for me. So we got through that gig, but also going back to something you were saying, it's not hard to also get along with sound folks. Like, don't be a D. You know, be professional. Know your stuff to the best of your ability, in the sense of, like, we did have a little row with one guy because he was very kind of, well, I'll just say it, he was rude to me when I showed up with my in-ear monitor system and my mic, and was asking me questions that I had no response for because I didn't know, so much that I literally texted our sound crew that day, because they happened to not be on the gig. It was a city gig that has a contract with another sound. And I said, I was just asked all these questions. I don't know the answers. It sounds like something I'm supposed to know. And both folks, you know, responded, no, you're not supposed to know that. He's the sound guy. You have everything put together, you know, and it's all in order and everything. All you need to do is hand it to him. He knows what he's supposed to do. You don't need to be worried about that. But he was pretty rude, but we even eventually we patched that up. And even when he was rude to me, I didn't react. I went to you and said, how dare him, and I don't like this, and I feel uncomfortable. But I just wanted to get the gig up and going and get through with it, and then we'd handle it later. But there's no need to be reactive. Just know what it is that you got to do, and just be cool. Just, you know, especially with some of these events, you know, like I said, I want to treat everything like it's a great event, and you want to do it to the best of your ability and at your 100%. But we're also not playing, you know, the Masonic or Shoreline Amphitheater. So just be cool and don't get all in your fee-fees about stuff. Just keep some perspective. It's not that hard. But we got great feedback from people that were there. Great feedback from Thomas. He was very much speaking my love language. I sent him a message the next day because I heard video from us out in front of the mains, and I was like, amazing. You made us sound so good, and we love how we sound. Thank you so much. And he was just like, not that hard to do when you guys are at the level that you are, and it's a joy and everything like that. So thank you very much spoke my language. But then we went into the next day, which was Rock the Dock, which was our debut. And what a difference from Friday to Saturday. Difference being the crew that comes out to Rock the Dock, like they come to dance, they come to party, and it was so fun. And the band was tight. I was on a tear because I was just had people that wanted to engage. And
you had family come out too.
And, yeah,
we had friends that came out to that one. I mean, there was, and again, it goes back to like what I was saying about the different condition and expectation. You know, Rock the Dock, people expect to come out there and sing and dance and be entertained in that way. And there was a lot of joy, a lot of expression and exuberance out there, and more of our you know, I call them, I mean, you say super fans, and they are, but they've become our friends too,
yes,
which is awesome. And it's always so nice to see the familiar faces, and it's humbling because, like, you know, any given day or night, there's bands playing all over the Bay Area and beyond, cover bands especially. So when people say, I saw that you were playing and I had to be here, I chose to. Some people come from very far away at times to come see us play, and it's like you said, like, you don't want to. Oh, I'm sorry I'm phoning it in. I had a bad sound check, or I'm sorry I phoned it in. Somebody was rude to me or something. Yeah. Like, those people are like, yeah, okay, cool, but I drove all the way. You know. Anyway.
Yeah, so. There was one couple that I told you, they came out because they saw us play at Bistro 880 a couple months ago, and they saw that we were playing at Rock the Dock. They came like somewhat far, like they live by Bistro 880.
Yeah.
But they came all the way across the bay to see us and loved that we were playing an outdoor venue that was all ages because they brought their kids. And I thought that was really cool. We didn't know it, but a potential client came out who is now an actual client. They're not a potential client. We have gone into contract. And there was this moment, for one, the big thing was like, okay, I'm still not going to like it, but I can miss Roxy's games if it's like this. Like I can do it. Well, it will feel like a good trade-off.
I'll say this too, the crew that Rock the Dock on, specifically Cornelia Fletcher, who it took us forever to schedule, to the point where I actually brought this up with her, because I was like, she for sure thinks that we're not interested, or we're big leaguing her or something, which she kind of did.
Which I appreciate about you so much, because again, I'm all about being transparent and forward, and I love that you spoke to that and that you guys had such a direct conversation. Man, I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, I'm glad we did, because I had a feeling, and my instincts are not usually wrong, but they treat bands so well out there. Hiring Thor, hiring a real pro sound company is one way that they treat people, the bands, right? Mm-hmm. But they pay fairly. They got us food. They got us sandwich, like Togo sandwiches, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But then also, like, the green room was stocked with snacks, stocked with drinks. Like, we were treated very well. Mm-hmm. And hopefully we'll be back, because it was a really great experience.
It was so fun. It was really, really windy, which, if you're a singer, I want to hear from you, because I know it just can't be me. And it's something that we've been noticing more and more. I mean, it was so windy. It feels like it literally scoops out your voice from it deep within, because the wind dries you out so bad. And so I felt like I could, like, no matter how much I drank, and you know, you can't drink all that much, but I was like, I couldn't keep enough moisture in my mouth. And I kept like feeling like I was making these faces because I'm trying to lick my lips or like just swallow.
You forget how sound waves work when you don't have to think about it, you know? Because there was times that, like, the drums would kind of disappear from my ears. And sometimes that means like, you know, our vocal microphones are up pretty high in my ears. So sometimes there's a lot of bleed into those of the drums, but you know, not to that, you know, level.
Right.
Like it almost was like the wind was like blowing the sound waves like between the drums and the mics that were miking them, or between my vocal mic and my mouth, you know, like
right.
we just like take the sound waves away. It's a really odd experience, odd feeling.
But it was. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say like we don't perform in that level of wind very often.
No,
it's not. Really not something that comes up that much.
It was really windy, and then it's a good thing it ends by 6 because like at 6:15 the temperature just drops and it is so cold. But it was such a fun show. The band was tight. We've been adding some new songs, and you know there's some things we got to tweak here and there, mostly vocals, but it felt so good. And that was like the first time I feel like we've been able to with our new drummer Javier, like had a chance to really like dig in, and that felt good. Yeah, super fun. And some of our super friend fans, I'll call them super friend fans, came again that had come the night before. Like that's super cool. So not only did they come Friday, they came Saturday, and then get this, our friends Careless Whisper, they're an 80s band. They were playing 5 minutes away. And so we went to see them play, and they were playing at Club Fox. And then we got to see like how many people came up that recognized us. For one, our super friend fans, Estuardo and Mario, by the way.
And Joe and Tess.
Joe and Tess.
Yeah.
Went to both shows, but then we're standing there, and the joy that people had. I have a theory. The people that recognized us for having just played Rock the Dock and then show up for Careless Whisper, the joy of running into us there, and for one, being able to thank us for the show and have just a moment was really, really cool. I think, though, what I was struck by afterwards, and I don't know if you agree with this, but I think they felt validated by us being there. And what do you think? Like, I know that Kyle and I are probably more than any other, I don't want to go as far as saying couple, but Kyle and I will go out and see bands. We will see our friends. I don't care how many times we've seen them. You know, Neon Velvet's going to be around. We're going to go see Cheese Balls, Mustache Harbor. This is just to name a few. I'm not naming all of them, you know. And everybody, we always get teased, like, what are you guys doing here? And we're like, why would we not come? Like, we like music. We genuinely love this.
We're always working at the same time. It's like, when else are we going to see you?
Yeah, when are we going to be able to say hi and see you in the flesh and give you a hug or whatever? Like, we are those people. We show up, we come out, and we're 9 times out of 10, usually 10 out of 10, we're going to be the last people there. We're going to be there to the very last song, and we're probably going to be, walking out with you as you load out. Like, that's just how we are. Those are the ways we show up, and we want to show up for our friends. And I know a lot of people aren't that way. They're like, they're in a band, they have the night off, they're not going out to see another band or hear music or anything like that. And all the power to you if that's what you want to do. But me, like, look, we're driving, a 2.5 hour drive. It should be only a 2.5 hour drive. It's probably going to take us 4 hours. We're driving to see essentially a cover band, but like, there was no question.
Yeah.
And I don't expect people to do that for me, for Mercy and the Heartbeats. I'm not even saying that, but it is interesting that I find that people are so surprised by us showing up.
Yeah, I mean, I speaking to validation, I think that sounds right. And I suppose it also kind of depends on what you mean by validation. Because I think what I see, at least from the people that we know, the people that show up to a lot of our shows, and they also show up to a lot of other band shows. It's something that they do. They like to go out and see dance bands, cover bands, tribute bands. That's like their hobby, or that's their activity. That's their social thing. And I think like you see when they, we were observing both from the stage when we're playing, but also at the Careless Whisper show, and observing the way that they interact with the bands, the way that they interact with each other. And I think that it's a big community at this point. And so I think it, when you speak to validation, I think it means a lot to them. It makes them feel like, oh, we're part of this community, like the band, like Mercy. They're not just a band that we show up and see. Like, we're a part of the community. We are also going out and seeing these bands. We're also participating. We're excited to see them too. I think that
I wasn't mostly talking about the super fan friends. I was talking about the people that we didn't know that recognized us from Rock the Dock.
Oh yeah.
Like when they were like, "Oh my God, this is so cool that you guys are here." Like, I mean that. Like, but yeah, I think that too. There's a part now where I genuinely feel like, oh, I wonder where Stuardo and Mario are today. There must be, they must have had to make a choice, and they're in Sacramento today, or they're seeing Tainted Love, or they're seeing, insert, so many bands.
I know that it makes me feel that way when I go to shows, or if I'm playing on a festival or something, and I recognize another musician who's playing the festival or not, or whatever. But if they're watching the same band as me, or like, it's that feeling of like, oh, cool, camaraderie and community and all that. And I know I feel that very deeply at times.
Yeah, because I know I even spoke to it when we were debriefing the Rock the Dock show. There was this moment that I was looking out, and I was like, this moment right here, right now, like, what a blessing. Like, the sun was shining. Yeah, it was windy, but the sun was shining. It was beautiful blue skies. And I was thinking, like, we're all together singing the same song. We're all sharing this moment of like, and we're in it together. We're this energy. It was just such a cool thing of like, I can only imagine what that must be on a whole other scale. Like, you go to a Beyonce show or BTS or whatever. But usually when you're watching an artist, you don't, as the participant and the audience, look around and think about like the sharing the moment with the others around you. I don't think most people think that. I do. I think like there is nothing better right now than sharing this moment with the person next to me and the person all the way on the other side of the stadium. And that, like, how cool is that we are all locked in right here, right? And there was a couple moments like that at Rock the Dock that were really cool. And I was like, wow, what it must be to be on the stage at like Coachella or whatever, and also take that in, and to just like, again, this my woo-woo side of me or whatever, it was just like, oh, where is that all showing up in my body right now? Where am I feeling all of that? What, I can name this feeling. The feeling is joy. The feeling is a sense of belonging. And it was just like really, really, it was really cool.
I think also like in this particular setting where we are a dance band, we are playing covers, you want to feel, we're lifelong performers, and we're both people that have written songs and recorded original music and worked on other people's songs and original music. And like, it extends to what we're doing now with dance band and cover band stuff. You want to feel like what you're doing matters in some way, like on weddings, it's easy to kind of go like, oh, well, we are facilitating the biggest party this couple's probably ever gonna throw. They've got people from all walks of life, friends and family, from grade school all the way up through adult years in college and whatever, and like, we're setting this tone and helping to foster this like container where everybody's like having fun together, partying together or whatever. And so you got into these city concerts, these concert series kind of things, public shows, and it's that same feeling where you're like, all these people showed up here, and all of them came because they wanted to see live and experience live music, and they wanted to be around other people in their community or whatever. And when you see that taking place and you go like, oh, right, like my role here is to like make this fun for them, to validate, you talk about validation, to validate their decision to come out and spend the day, or at least part of the day, here with us. It's like, a lot of people there knew who we were, but a lot of people didn't. Like, so, you know, like when people come out, and I had a lot of people that I haven't met before who came up after to say very kind things about us. And I do not take that for granted at all. But it, you know, you go, oh, like, right. Like my job here and my purpose here is to make this, you know, I don't know, but I get
what you're saying.
I don't want to sound like I'm coming down on bands that, you know, there are bands that are just not as experienced or as skilled or whatever as we are. We're very lucky and blessed to do what we do at the level that we do it at. But I also think, like, you know, people go out and see a band that's like okay or not very good. And it's kind of like, oh yeah, we went to this thing and it was, you know, the band was okay, whatever. And then they come see a band like us, or a band like a lot of the bands you mentioned, like Neon Velvet, and Mustache, and Tainted, and Cheese Balls, and Entourage, and these bands, it's like, you know, Bell and Co. And these artists and bands and musicians that are high level at what they do, and those people can then go like, oh, I went to this thing, it was awesome, the band was great. Like, it's something that sometimes people don't know the difference until they experience it.
Right.
And
that being said, I mean, I have also had, though, like, again, this just comes to me as I love music. I can't hear music and not sing along. I can't hear music and not dance. I have been to some clubs, events that the bands were awful. I still feel joy. I still can get with it, but but you can tell the people that are there and happy to be there and know their ability, you know, or whatever. But you can, because how many times have we seen bands that are experienced and good and solid, but it's like, they look like they could care less.
Sure, yeah.
They're not connecting with the audience. They're not connecting with each other. One of the things that I learned really early on was, and this wasn't even with singing, it was with dancing. I used to dance in a nonprofit dance company in San Jose, and the thing is, like, talking about connecting with each other, even if we're not in sync with choreography at that time, but like, you're constantly feeding off each other's energy. Like, we're constantly connecting. I can connect with people that aren't I could connect with a singer that's not at my ability, but that is like doing their 100%. Again, their 100%. They don't have to be amazing, but I need to know that they're doing it to the best of their ability, and they're being open with it, and they're being like, and they're happy to be there.
Sure.
Otherwise, and I'll have a great time. I have no problem with that. It's not like you have to be an amazing person for me to enjoy myself. But if you're like, because if you're great, but you don't care and you're not putting forth effort, then I don't care. And I don't want to be there and witness it. Yeah. I don't want to be a part of it.
No, that's fair. I got cover band damage, you know, like, I don't want to hear like Uptown Funk done poorly, or I don't
care. I'll still get up and dance to Uptown Funk.
See, but then you got that thing that I don't have. And that's like, it shows up in our front person stuff too. Like, you're able to, like, you've got that frequency, and I got a little bit more on drums, but even, I don't know, like, I get a little snooty, or not, you know, snooty's the right word. I just, like, I want to hear stuff done at a high level. And if it's not being done at a high level, like, I'm not going to, like, actively, you know, crap on a band or crap on artists. But it's like, and if we're there anyway and it's a casual thing, I'm not going to be like, let's get out of here. But I'm also like, I'm not going to stick around to watch a band if I'm like, yeah, this is not, like, great. If they're playing the songs that everybody plays or that we play or whatever, I'm like, I don't need to hear somebody else do this song if it's not, like, blowing my skirt up, you know?
Yeah. No,
but that's just me, and it's not necessarily even a judgment on those bands. It's just kind of like, it's like,
right.
You know, we go see the bands that we go see and support the bands we go support. Yes, they're our friends, but they also happen to be really good at what they do.
Yeah.
And all those bands, to their credit, do stuff. All of us play the same songs or certain, there's a Venn diagram of the stuff that we all tend to play because that's what people want to hear. But also all those bands, they all do stuff their own way. They've got arrangements that are unique to them or medleys that are unique to them, or they're doing some of the songs people want to hear, but they're also doing a batch of songs that people don't know they want to hear until they hear them. And that's part of what gets me like, I want to see what Neon Velvet's doing.
Right.
I want to see what Cheeseballs have cooked up lately. I want to see what Entourage is doing. I want to name them all because I'm going to miss some.
Right.
But like, I'm interested. Even you mentioned like, I know Jay Middleton. Hi Jay. You mentioned some of the songs you guys were doing at the San Pedro, and I'm doing June 7th or 10th or something. It's a Wednesday. I'm doing one coming up with him on drums, which is going to be fun.
It's 10th.
But you mentioned a bunch of songs that you guys pulled out there that aren't normal kind of songs. Right. Of course, you did some of the normal stuff people want to hear, but it's like, I guess what I'm getting at is like, I don't need to see a band that's like, okay, dance with somebody. Okay. Uptown Funk. Okay. Shut Up and Dance. Okay. It's just like, I
Stop Believing.
Yeah. Sweet Caroline, Living on a Prayer. It's like Sweet Child of Mine. Like, I don't need to see it, stick around and watch a band play the top 30, cover band songs that everybody plays.
Right.
Just because it's not, unless they're just absolutely killing. But if they were absolutely killing, I also kind of feel like they would be doing things a little bit like the way that they do it,
Well, going back, again, shout out to Careless Whisper. You can find them at carelesswhisperlive.com.
Careless Whisper 80s, I think.
Careless Whisper 80s.
I don't know. Don't quote us. If you search for Careless Whisper 80s,
we follow each other, so go to our page and you can find them easily. McKenna and Jeff are the lead singers. They were great, a joy to watch, and they will be playing. They play a lot in the area, but I know specifically they'll be playing at Music on the Square in Redwood City, July 24th. And I know that because that's the week before we are going to be there. So you should go to that show and then come July 31st to see our show.
Yeah.
And that's another really, really fun event. That's like a feather in the cap. I feel there's a couple events like that. Although I think Rock the Dock now was one of those for me. I had a blast. Thank you, Cornelia. Thank you for being patient with us. We just really do book that far out on Saturdays generally. I mean, we're already booked almost most of May for 2027. And most of June. So, I mean, we've been booking out a year to a year and a half in advance. And so it's hard to save Saturdays. Although that was one thing we did talk with the band a little bit about on this show is that, yes, this is our livelihood. I want to just remind everybody, like, we don't have 9-to-5 jobs. We make money and pay our rent solely on our gigs and the band.
People were very surprised to hear that.
I know. It's been a thing.
Some of these shows, there was a lot of like, so what do you guys do for a living? It's like, you just experienced it. Wow, really? It's like, well, part of it is that like we live in a high cost of living area. Yes. So the fact that we're able to even make our lives work only on music is a feather in our caps, but it's also a constant stress. I'll admit that. But people don't expect you to say that because it is a high cost of living area. And most of the people that they meet, or especially musicians, bands and stuff, it's a lot of weekend warriors or a lot of hobbyists, which I totally understand. Like, but this, you were saying, this is how we make our living.
So we can't
almost exclusively.
Right. So we have to be choosy about how we book. That being said, if there were more events that were like Rock the Dock, where actually have a pretty good payout, it does make us, like I told Kyle, because it was really hard to give up a Saturday to do this. But then when you break it down and go like, yeah, but sure, we didn't make a wedding rate or corporate band rate, but it's a pretty good rate for only this amount of the day that we're having to take out, and we're done. I mean, we were done early enough to be able to go to a show.
Yeah. Well, and we get to play what we want.
Exactly. We get to. So I was like, I think as far as work-life balance goes, as far as wear and tear on the band and vocally and driving, because most of us are pretty close to this event as well. So it's kind of like, there are times that we can do this and earmark a Saturday here or there. Of course, that being said, it never fails. You do that, and then you get an offer for a killer gig at a very high rate, and you have to say, we're already in contract. And that happened with this one. And there was even one gig that came up, and we're like, should we try to get out of it? And I was like, you have that thought for 30 seconds, and then you come to your senses, and we say no, because we have built a business on integrity.
And also, like, we'd had such a difficult time scheduling with Cornelia in the first place. It was kind of one of those things where you go, all right, like, if you go back and you try to back out of this thing,
well,
like
that's
that's going to be, you might as well, you just flush that relationship. And
but and also, we do right by, we don't. I always want to be transparent, and I want you to know what we think. It doesn't mean we act on it or do it, but there are these times that you're just like, oh man, we just signed the contract, and then we get an offer for something, twice the money. But we gotta, we signed a contract, and we gave our word, and we can't go back on that. And I feel we were rewarded. I feel we were rewarded for that show. It was really great, and we made a lot of new fans, and people were super cool and generous. So it was really, really fun. Okay, moving on. I don't know if we've talked about it a lot, and then we'll do a card pull also. But I know we've talked before about being recognized out in public, out and about. It's happening more and more with Kyle and I being out. Not too long ago, we were at a pub quiz night, and at the end of the night, some people came up and said they recognized us and knew for sure because we did play under the name Mercy and the Manz. And more, it's been happening and being stopped in the street, stopped in different places, and everything. It happened to me yesterday in Walmart, and I gotta admit, and I don't think this person sees our podcast, and nothing bad happened. Let me just say that. Like, it's not. I don't want to make it sound bad. It wasn't bad. I was a little taken aback because it was that was the first time I felt vulnerable, in the sense that most of the time that you and I have been recognized has been together, or I've been out with a group. But this is the first time that I was by myself, and I was shopping at Walmart with my, pushing my cart, pushing my trolley, as they say in other parts of the world. And this person came up to me and recognized me and called me by name, and said they knew me from being a singer and stuff. And it was the first time I felt really like it was weird. And I was thinking, like, this is just on this teeny little scale.
Yeah.
It was like, do I need to worry about like checking to see if anybody followed me from which, good luck in a Walmart parking lot following anybody from there. Anyway, it was really weird. And the weird thing then about it was, this person ends up that they're also a musician, and they also do some photography work or something along the line. And I was like, oh, well, we're playing, and then that was the other thing. I was like, well, we're still public. Does it matter that I say anything? But do I want to give, I never want, again, as a woman being out by myself, it's like, I never want to give the wrong impression, but I always want to let people know what we're doing. But then it's like, I listen to too much true crime is what it really comes down to. I listen to way too much true crime, and thinking, like, I don't want to ever give anybody the impression that I was singling them out to come out, and then they get obsessed or stalked, because I have unfortunately had stalkers in my life. And so in having this short conversation of like, we're going to be in these at these events around town, maybe we'll see you out, come to a show. And they said that, well, I never see where you're going to be at. I always see it after the fact, because I don't follow you, I follow the band. I said, oh, well, here, This is they would not come up in my Facebook search, and I would not come up in their Facebook search. And it got so weird past a certain point because it was taking too long. And I was like, well, I need to get going because I need to finish my shopping and, go on with my day. So we left it at that, because the only thing that came to mind was I must have blocked this person. Maybe I blocked them, but I don't want to look under my blocked list in front of them.
Right.
I cannot find them. They are not on my blocked list, and they are not on my restricted list. And let me tell you, the list was, the list of blocked people was longer than I remember it being, but enough so that I had to put show more. I had to click on view more.
Lots of people have lost their minds over the last few years.
Yeah. But so I'm not above blocking people. I'm also not above unblocking people, but it was so bizarre for whatever reason. And to me, there was like, is that a little bit of the universe or something like that? But I would not come up in a search. They would not come up in a search. They did come up in a search for Kyle. So it leads me to believe that he's not blocked on my end, because we have all our socials intertwined. I have access to Kyle's accounts. He has access to mine. So also, just to let you know, if you ever think you're going to have a private conversation with him and his DMs, let me let you know now that nothing is going to be so private that I'm not going to be able to see.
You can still try though if you want.
Try, yeah.
Just put some effort in.
See how that works out for you. Also, my sister did a search for this person. They came up for her, which wouldn't matter because we don't share accounts. But she had some mutual friends. But all that to say is, it leads me to believe that I didn't have them blocked if you were able to find them. But anyway, I just thought that was a little weird, and that was the first time I felt like, I feel really small right now. I feel very, it was a very, looked over my shoulder a lot yesterday, and it was kind of weird. And I was like, how do people go out and shop, and how do you be pink out in the world, and how do you be...
You don't. That's why when you go to Disneyland, they hook you up with private access.
Well, that would be
nice.
You
have people shop. You have assistants. That's part of what you give up for fame.
And there's other people I've met, funny enough, I've told you about the man that I run into at Safeway all the time, who's very sweet and nice, and every time I see him, we talk for 10 minutes and have a chat, and I've never felt that way. And so it's just, it was a little odd, but all right, we're going to end on a soundtrack stories deck. Anything else you want to say before we get ready to sign off?
I don't think so.
Any gigs coming up that you want to pimp? Want to talk about?
Not really.
Any singer-songwriter? You have a Chaw gig coming up in June.
That's July.
Oh, never mind. July. We'll talk about that.
We're backing up a couple artists with Mercy, but as a backup band.
Oh yeah, we need to talk about that one. We'll debrief that.
Yeah, at the Guild on May 31st. Anybody wants to come out and see us play very theatrical, very complicated songs.
We will definitely have to do a whole episode about that. This is the first time that Mercy and the Heartbeats has been hired as a backup band for other artists, and it has been...
Might be the last, honestly.
A trip, y'all. It has been a thing. And also, I didn't talk about my whole testing thing that I did, so maybe that would be something that I just touch on. Alrighty, I'm going to mix up the cards. I'm trying to think of any other dates we have coming up. June 7th, we will be at the Art and Wine Festival in Walnut Creek, and it'll be us. I talk about Changeover. We will be one of the first bands, and then there will be, is it Touch of Class?
I don't remember who's that.
I think it's Touch of Class band, and then Neon Velvet. And we're super excited because we get to see our pals play and hopefully drink some wine with them afterwards, and it's going to be a blast.
It's a small wine.
So it's June 7th, Walnut Creek. It's a Sunday. We are also playing
June 14th in Sebastopol at the Barlow.
Yeah, but hopefully we'll have another episode out so that I can talk about it. But I was trying to think of that same weekend. June 5th, I don't think we have anything, and June 6th.
Oh,
It's a members only event.
Playing Davis Estates
For like the 4th year in a row.
Yeah, super fun gig for us.
June 6th will be is our anniversary. It's going to be 6 years. 6 years this year.
The math should be easy. We got married.
I know, in 2020.
Yeah.
6 years, and we usually always end the day with going to dinner at Mustard's. And is that considered Napa or Sonoma?
I don't know where that is, but
it's so good.
We also just we stumbled in there when I driven by that place for years, and we just were like, after that first Davis Estates, we were so wiped out. I was like, man, I just really want to like sit and eat at a bar and drink a cocktail. And we just like on a whim stumbled into that place and had like one of the best experiences, one of the best dinner and cocktail experiences we've ever had. And we've tried to go back every time we can.
It's amazing. All right, here I go. I'm going to pick. So this is the Soundtrack Stories deck. It's the one that Nicole from Rock and Roll Team Building. Ha! I already pulled this one. Previous episode. That's so funny. What are the odds? Let's see. Here. I'll pick one real quick. You're heading off on a long road trip. What's your vibe in the car? What? How did he do that? You're heading off on a long road trip. What's your vibe in the car?
Music vibe, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I think for me, I mean, road trips, it's I just kind of default to the kind of FM radio, like 70s, 80s, 90s, kind of 60s a little bit, but like FM radio, like classic rock, 80s kind of stuff. Like, I don't know.
Absolutely. I was going to say classic rock all the way. Like,
I don't know if it reminds me of being a kid and going on trips with my family and stuff that would be played in the car or what, but
to me, that's just the epitome of being on the road and with the windows down, which we barely do anymore, but like the windows down and sunroof open, and it's just got to be like classic rock. It's got to be, and I mean, and over decades, you know, like you said, 80s, but I go like 60s, like Creedence Clearwater,
yeah,
Bob Seger, even the Eagles. Like that's for sure the vibes. I like you and I, for the majority of the time when we do drive together, we're listening to podcasts. And we've already mentioned a couple of our favorites. Small Town Dicks is one of our favorites. I listen to a lot of Dateline. We also have been listening to this.
Why you assume somebody was going to try to murder you in a Walmart parking lot?
Not in the, just become a stalker. There's one we're listening to right now. I cannot remember the name of it. I'll try to remember and put it in the caption below. But it's one about the one we've been listening to right now is the
Mormons cults.
We've been listening to that one together. But generally, we're listening to pretty horrific stories. That is usually our vibe on road trips is true crime. Although we did listen to Matthew McConaughey's book. And we have listened to Cher's book. We did do some audiobooks together.
Yeah, Cher's book is like our podcast, and we went into way too much detail on things.
Oh, it's fine. But
I remember what dress I was wearing when I walked through the door as a 4-year-old girl and saw my grandpappy.
Well, my mother, she always wanted to look her best, and I just remember
yellow bow she'd put in her. Shout out to Cher.
Shout out to Cher because I love her, and that 13-hour book was only part 1.
It only got her to we weren't even into turn back time era. I was like, oh my god, how long have we been listening to this?
All right, I can't wait to debrief Jump and their Van Halen tribute. I'll also link them. They're amazing. I'm so excited about this, and I brought some cute clothes to get dressed up in, and it's going to be great. We're going to spend the night, and then we'll be on our way home. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
You said that you found me, but you know that it was I found